From ABC News, World News Sunday, here's Forrest Sawyer.
Good evening. Mikhail Gorbachev's dreams of holding the Soviet Union together may have received a death blow today. The Union's three Slavic republics announced they are forming a separate Commonwealth of independent states. Russia, the Ukraine, and Belarus control much of the Soviet Union's economic power, enough to challenge the rapidly fading strength of Gorbachev's central government. Details from Moscow correspondent John Donvan.
The chief state TV channel was halfway through its evening news when it got the first details of the agreement signed in Minsk. Quoting from it, the anchorwoman announced, "The Soviet Union, as a subject of international and geopolitical reality, no longer exists." That decision, whether it sticks or not, was made in one weekend by three men: Boris Yeltsin, President of the Republic of Russia; Leonid Kravchuk, just elected President of the Ukraine; and Stanislav Shushkevich, leader of the Soviet Republic known as Belarusia, which is where they all came together to meet. The territory of their Commonwealth, as they declared it, now accounts for 70% of the present Soviet population and much of its oil and food. Open to other former republics to join, it will be headquartered not in Moscow, but in the Belarusian capital, Minsk, snubbing not only Moscow, but also Soviet President Mikhail Gorbachev and the strong central power he once stood for. Tonight, Gorbachev was on Ukrainian television, still arguing for a Moscow-based central government linking the parts of the old Soviet Union. Otherwise, he predicts anarchy, chaos, or as his supporters say,
it's going to be an economic disaster of incredible proportions for the Soviet republics to go their own way.
But Yeltsin and his Commonwealth colleagues say they know what they're doing, already signing agreements this weekend on nuclear weapons, which they say they will jointly control. The TASS news agency says they have agreed to cooperate on military and foreign affairs in general. All of which seems to put Gorbachev out of a job and a new government into gear. But it's not that simple. Some of the remaining Soviet republics prefer Gorbachev and his ideas to the new Commonwealth, whose members already have disagreements on how quickly to change to a free market system, for example, and on whether to destroy the nuclear weapons on their soil or keep them. John Donvan, ABC News, Moscow.
President Bush spoke with Russian Republic President Boris Yeltsin for about half an hour today. The White House is saying it is waiting for a more detailed report before issuing a response. Joining us for reaction to these developments is President Carter's former national security advisor, Zbigniew Brzezinski. Sir, is this, as the republics are saying, the end of the Soviet Union?
I think it is certainly the end of the Soviet Union. We're seeing its very last days, but we may also be seeing the beginning of a political showdown, either between Gorbachev and Yeltsin, or perhaps between the remnants of the army and Yeltsin, with Gorbachev conceivably even legitimating action in the name of the Union, of trying to preserve what is clearly disappearing, the Soviet Union.
Well, when you say a political showdown, there must also be some military component in that.
There could be. Significant portions of the Soviet army are not only dissatisfied, they're in despair. There's enormous demoralization and fear that the army will go down the drain with the Soviet Union. And therefore, I would not preclude some dramatic developments in the next few days even.
There is a tremendous economic problem that the country is facing. The United States is now weighing its reaction. What ought it to be?
In my view, we ought to move expeditiously to recognize Ukraine, because the sooner we make it very clear that pluralism is there, that it's internationally recognized, that it's institutionalized, the less likely is going to be an attempt to turn the clock back. As long as there's uncertainty as to whether we'll recognize the new situation, and particularly Ukrainian independence, the greater the temptation for someone in Moscow, perhaps even Gorbachev, to try to turn the clock back to so-called preserve the Soviet Union.
The gravity of the problem is quite severe.
I think this is a moment of enormous historical importance.
Dr. Zbigniew Brzezinski, thank you, sir. Still overseas, an historic meeting in the Netherlands this week could result in the creation of an economic power that rivals the U.S. and Japan. Leaders of the European community are expected to agree to steps that would further remove financial and political barriers among the 12 nations. ABC's Jim Bitterman is in Maastricht.
Yes, it's official. 1992 and all that is on its way.
From ad writers to politicians, some here portray the march toward a more united Europe as bureaucracy gone mad.
Sorry, chaps, the mile's gone metric. It's the red tape you've got to break through now.
Europe, some worry, will sacrifice national identity and sovereignty to achieve union.
The arguments that are used, if others have it, we must. That is an argument for a flock of sheep.
But Europe's present leaders, who are gathering in Maastricht, Holland this evening, don't see it that way at all. Despite their disagreements on the way here, it is nearly certain that all will leave having agreed on political and economic ways to strengthen their union. Agreeing on steps that will lead to a single European currency, the ECU, before the end of the century, and creating a European central bank. Agreeing perhaps to vest the European Parliament and a European defense organization with more powers. But not agreeing, despite the Yugoslavian war at their doorstep, on a workable decision-making mechanism for a common European foreign policy.
This is one of the major areas of disappointment. The machinery will just not work.
Far from worrying about the increased competition of a stronger Europe, the United States is now urging the Europeans on, hoping that with the conflict in Yugoslavia, the disintegration of the Soviet Union, and nationalities problems on the rise, the growth of European-wide institutions will add political stability at a time when it's badly needed. For many, if that's the summit's only achievement, it will be success enough. Jim Bitterman, ABC News, Maastricht, Holland.
And still ahead, former hostage Terry Anderson and the stresses of being free and trying to tear down the prosecution's case in the William Kennedy Smith rape trial. And later on, Meredith Rainey going for Olympic gold.
World News Sunday, brought to you by Charles Schwab.
Today, Tektred Shoe Corporation announced a major retail expansion in 25 U.S. cities.
When I see a company that looks like a good investment, I check it out myself.
We make it easier to follow your own lead.
At Charles Schwab, I can get quotes, financial news, and when I make a trade, commission savings.
Always there to give you just the help you need.
Help yourself at Schwab today.
If your doctor has recommended Metamucil and you like the results, but you don't like those glasses of thick liquid, change to FiberCon. Get the same fiber action in easy-to-swallow tablets. Get doctor-recommended FiberCon.
Share the fantasy. Chanel number 5.
There is a new report today about the Reagan administration and arms sales to Iran. According to the New York Times, shortly after taking office in 1981, President Reagan changed U.S. policy and allowed Israel to sell Iran several $billion worth of U.S.-made weapons. The sales continued even after the administration publicly launched a campaign to stop worldwide arms sales to Iran. Former hostage Alan Steen released today from a hospital near Detroit just one day after suffering a brain seizure. Steen is now at home in Clark Lake, Michigan. Steen suffered permanent brain damage from a beating by one of his captors. Former hostage Terry Anderson says he is having a few problems adjusting to normal life after nearly 7 years in captivity. Anderson went jogging today at the U.S. military hospital in Wiesbaden, Germany, and afterwards said that facing freedom has been tougher than he imagined.
I thought, you know, I'm a big, strong man. I'm in control here. And this really hadn't bothered me a bit. I'm tough. Well, found out it had a lot greater effect than I bargained for.
Anderson is also surprised by advances in high-tech gadgets. He's already bought a compact disc player, but while he has gotten the disc to spin around, he says he's got to read the instructions to actually get any sound to come out of it. In West Palm Beach today, there was more defense testimony in the rape trial of William Kennedy Smith, and the question now is whether Smith himself will testify. Here's Mark Potter.
Leaving St. Edward's Church in Palm Beach this morning, William Smith indicated for the first time that he wants to take the witness stand in his rape trial.
You want to testify? Yes. You do?
Smith's desire to testify does not mean his lawyers will allow him to do so. Legal experts say it could be advantageous for Smith to counter the dramatic testimony of the alleged victim, but it is a risky maneuver that would expose him to tough questioning by the prosecution. Most of the defense case so far has relied on forensic science, using evidence and expert witnesses to try to tear apart the alleged victim's account. Dr. Henry Lee, a criminologist, said if the alleged victim had been tackled and assaulted on the lawn of the Kennedy estate, as she said, he would have expected to find stains on her clothing, which he did not.
I did not see any obvious blood stain, soil stain, or grass stain.
Dr. Jay Siegel, a professor of forensic science, said sand found in the woman's underwear could not have come from the estate lawn. He said it could have come from the beach, where the defense claims Smith and the alleged victim had sex voluntarily. Mark Potter, ABC News, West Palm Beach, Florida.
In Fort Pierce, Florida today, the first person known to have contracted AIDS from a healthcare worker has died. Kimberly Vergalis died in her sleep at home. She was 23. Last year, genetic tests established that Vergalis and 4 other patients were infected by Dr. David Acker. Acker had been diagnosed with fully developed AIDS 3 months before treating Vergalis. In September, Vergalis appeared before a congressional hearing on a bill bearing her name. It would have required many healthcare workers to be tested for AIDS. She had enough strength for a single statement.
I did nothing wrong, yet I'm being made to suffer like this. My life has been taken away. Please enact legislation so that no other patient or health care provider will have to go through the hell that I have.
Doctors say there is still little chance of contracting AIDS from a doctor or dentist as long as proper precautions are taken. We'll be back in a moment.
Layoffs, recession, pollution.
Daycare, not having any time.
Job insecurity.
You never needed it more. A new extra-strength pain reliever made to get today's tough headaches before they really get you. 1,000 milligrams, stomach guard, and the name Bayer. That should ease your mind. Introducing new extra-strength Bayer Plus. Now there's no pain you can't bear.
You know, if you drink a lot of fruit juice...
And apparently you do.
That's my point. Sunsweet prune juice makes a really delicious change of pace from these other juices.
You mean there are people who still haven't tried Sunsweet prune juice?
Hard to believe with my charisma.
Power. Applied intelligently, its effects are magnificent. Witness the Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme. Powered by the world's largest 24-valve V6 engine and an electronic transmission. It's a car designed to provide a more intelligent standard of performance, measured not simply in miles per hour, but by a slightly different gauge, miles per gallon. Oldsmobile, the power of intelligent engineering.
Now you don't need a prescription to get prescription strength medicine for itches and rashes. Introducing new Maximum Strength Cordaid. Now with twice the healing medicine. New Maximum Strength Cordaid. Prescription strength without a prescription.
Red Lobster shrimp. Do you love it icy cold? Or in scampi, sizzling hot? Do you crave it golden fried? Or dripping with our new honey barbecue sauce? During our holiday shrimp days, you'll find 8 special shrimp dinners. How about new lemon broiled shrimp, together with new honey barbecue shrimp, just $7.99. Now at Red Lobster. And for holidays at home, party platters to go, ready in just 1 hour.
When President Bush proposes his economic plan early next year, it may include tax cuts for the middle class. Budget Director Richard Darman said today that as a matter of practical politics, tax cuts may have to be included so the middle class feels that the economic program is fair. Now, as you might imagine, the idea of tax cuts is one of the favorite subjects of a lobbying group known as the National Taxpayers Union. The organization is also big on cuts in federal spending, but it has found, to its dismay, that many members of Congress are not. Here's Sheila Cast.
When presidential hopeful Bob Kerrey is out campaigning, the topic is usually national health insurance. Not that Kerrey has proposed 7 times more spending than any other member of the Senate. But there's a link. Kerrey is the only senator who has sponsored a bill to make national health insurance law. That put him at the top of the list produced by the new computer database of the National Taxpayers Union, a conservative group. It traces all the spending increases
$95 million.
and spending cuts sponsored by every member of Congress. For every dollar someone has proposed to cut in this Congress, the database finds $43 proposed in new spending.
Many members of Congress go back to their districts and actively cultivate the impression that the only way to reduce the budget deficit is through spending reductions. And yet they come to Congress and they do not introduce a single spending reduction.
Even Senate conservatives like Jesse Helms of North Carolina, Alan Simpson of Wyoming, Warren Rudman of New Hampshire have sponsored no cuts. In fact, according to NTU, only 38 senators have. Critics say the National Taxpayers Union is not impartial.
Their agenda is to slash and burn the role of the federal government and the size of the federal government as much as they possibly can.
Naturally, the dollar sign on the cost sounds big. What they don't include is how much does it save America.
Rangel, the top spending sponsor in the House, claims drug treatment, education, and similar bills on his list would cut costs in the long run. Politicians sometimes sponsor a bill just to start a debate. The National Taxpayers Union wants more debates about what to cut and less about what to spend. Sheila Cast, ABC News on Capitol Hill.
In Dallas, another sign of the hard economic times. The Dallas Times-Herald will publish its final edition tomorrow after agreeing to a $55 million buyout by its stronger rival, the Dallas Morning News. The Morning News will now be the only daily newspaper in Dallas. When we come back, runner Meredith Rainey, hoping to stay on track for the 1992 Olympics. Ray Gandolf is next with sports.
Norelco says don't shave your legs, baby them. With Norelco's incredibly close, comfortable shave that leaves you baby smooth, baby soft. Norelco Lady Shave Razors, dry or wet, we make close comfortable.
Freedent's the one.
Only one gum leads the way when you've got dental work, and that's Freedent. Freedent won't stick to your dental work, so you can be confident chewing it. And because it also moistens your mouth and freshens your breath, Freedent's in a class by itself.
Freedent's the one that took the stick out of gum, and Freedent moistens your mouth. Yeah, moistens your mouth and freshens your breath while you chew.
Non-stick Freedent moistens your mouth and freshens your breath.
Have you had your V8 today? Did you know that V8 juice has more vitamins A and C than that tossed salad? Wow! V8 is a nutritious blend of 8 vegetable juices that taste terrific. Have you had your V8 today?
Domino's just what you wish, and Domino's had ring your bells.
With Domino's Pizza's Season's Greeting Special.
Nobody knows like Domino's.
Now get a medium pepperoni pizza for just $2.99 with any large pizza at the regular price.
Nobody knows like Domino's.
We don't make your pizza till you make your call and deliver in 30 minutes or less, guaranteed.
Nobody knows. Ho, ho. Like Domino's, how you like pizza at home.
I use a shampoo for dandruff, but my scalp still itches like crazy.
You need new Scalpicin, the revolutionary scalp medicine for deep scalp itch, not ordinary dandruff. Scalpicin is not a shampoo. It's a clear liquid you don't wash away like shampoo. Apply Scalpicin anytime for deep scalp itch relief with medicine chosen by doctors over all these dandruff shampoo formulas. Scalpicin penetrates to relieve the itch and help prevent flaking.
The itch is gone.
New Scalpicin, the scalp medicine for deep scalp itch.
Is a major cigarette advertising campaign attracting young children. The American Agenda. Watch Peter Jennings on ABC's World News Tonight this week.
The 1992 Olympics are just around the corner, and Ray Gandolf in New York has a look at one of the top Olympic hopefuls, Meredith Rainey. And, of course, he has today's sports highlights. Ray.
Thank you, Forrest. Well, the weeks dwindle down to a precious few in the NFL, just 2 more left in the regular season, and a little of the fog has lifted. The Houston Oilers, with Alan Pinkett running for 2 touchdowns, beat Pittsburgh and clinched the title in the AFC Central. Dallas, with Berline pitching and Johnston catching, handed New Orleans its 4th loss in a row and prevented the Saints from clinching a playoff spot. And with a touchdown pass from Jeff Kemp to Calvin Williams, plus 4 field goals, Philadelphia sent the defending Super Bowl champion Giants to the brink of elimination. And that's enough of watching mastodons knock each other around. Let's spend a few minutes with Meredith Rainey, a Harvard graduate and prospective Olympian, who can run like the wind.
Look at Rainey right on the shoulder, and this is what she wanted. That fast pace sets up her sprint finish.
At a pretty young age, I'd say around 6 or 7, I think I realized that I was more than just average.
At the age of 21, Meredith Rainey was enough above average to win the 1990 national championship at 800 meters. Now, having graduated from Harvard, where she won 2 NCAA championships, Rainey has quit her job at a Manhattan advertising agency to train full-time for the Olympics, and for a couple of Olympics after that.
I would like to compete in the games in the year 2000. So if I can take it for that long, I'm going to try really hard to do it.
From the time she was 12 until she was 18, Meredith quit running. Life for a teenager in Brooklyn was too rich, too diverse to focus on one thing.
I'm happy that I grew up here because I think I learned some lessons about life. I think I learned how to be tough and how to take care of myself.
But not by herself. Meredith's mother, Carol Rainey, assistant principal of an elementary school in Brooklyn, is a remarkable woman who has steered 2 other daughters through the perils of adolescence and into college.
Always encourage them to do their best. If you do your best, you don't have to be sorry afterwards.
It's a message that the Raineys pass on.
You always learn something from any experience. Whether you do well or you do poorly, there's always a lesson in it.
To remind them of their heritage, to let them know that we depend on them, we as adults depend on them, because they are our future.
Running and working out for 4 hours a day, Meredith has time to dream of the future and reflect on the past, including this year's national championships, where she ran her best race ever, she says, but literally fell short at the finish.
My body just dominated my mind, and I didn't think, Meredith, you're not ready to run this fast. I just tried to do it, and I did. And at the finish line, I felt it. And then there are people who deliberately try to trip you up or push you or elbow you or whatever.
You got sharp elbows.
You have to learn how to get them and how to use them. Everyone needs to be good at something. I think everyone needs to have that confidence to carry around with them.
Meredith Rainey, with a star-bright future, has plenty of confidence, but no cockiness. Carol Rainey sees to that.
I cook for her. I try to pamper her a little bit before she runs, but not too much. I will not have a prima donna. Not in this family.
A conviction that can be attested to by Meredith Rainey, her 2 sisters, and this reporter. Forrest?
Thank you, Ray. When we come back, we're going to tell you about a former hairdresser whose new invention could save your life.
I'm convinced, and so are a lot of other people, that it's the most important invention in the last 50 years.
How about dessert from Presto Salad Shooter?
Shoot some slices, salad shooter.
Point and shoot right into dessert or fruit salad.
Shoot some shreds, salad shooter.
For chocolatey, nutty dessert toppings.
Shoot it fast, shoot it neat, shoot it pretty. Pretty salad shooter.
Presto Salad Shooter Slicer Shredder. Clean up easy, dishwasher safe, small enough to store anywhere. Great salads and much, much more.
Salad shooter.
Original, cordless, rechargeable, and professional salad shooter.
When you're all stuffed up and use an ordinary nasal spray, it drips into your tissue where it can't help you breathe. But not Sinex Ultrafine Mist. Its medicine stays where you need it, so you can breathe the way you want to. We don't drip down, we clear up.
Before I switched to Fix-It, Jones Peanut Crunchies only look delicious.
Fix-It and forget it. Fix-It is the strongest holding denture adhesive you can get. It even stands up to the hottest liquids. For the strongest hold, Fix-It and forget it.
Christmas time in colonial Williamsburg Monday. Relive the holiday traditions of the 18th century.
And later in the week, holiday cooking with Julia Child here on Good Morning America.
If you think scientific breakthroughs these days are all made in big, expensive laboratories by teams of PhDs, it is time to think again. Some of them are made by ordinary people who know how to buy the right things and mix them together in new ways. Correspondent Jack Lawrence has more.
Maurice Ward is an unlikely candidate for a Nobel Prize in chemistry or physics, but the 59-year-old former hairdresser from the north of England may surprise everybody. He has invented a material that could change the whole concept of fire prevention and heat insulation. Maurice Ward is a visionary.
I'm convinced, and so are a lot of other people, that it's the most important invention in the last 50 years.
Well, maybe. What Ward has invented is a substance that resists heat at very high temperatures. He calls it ultra-high-tech starlight. Scientists call it Maurice's Mix. Here's a demonstration of how the material acts as a heat shield. An ordinary egg is coated with Maurice's Mix.
This torch is producing a temperature of 1200 degrees centigrade.
This is what happens when an uncoated egg is placed in the flame. But the egg covered with the new material is able to withstand the heat and flames for several minutes.
I'm now going to move it over and crack it and pour out the contents of the egg.
It was this plane crash in Manchester, England 6 years ago that got Ward working on his invention. 55 passengers were overcome by smoke from burning materials in the plane and died within minutes. Similar materials treated with the heat-shielding substance invented by Ward seem much safer.
The effect of the starlight on it, it tends to bring the temperature down.
British and American experts who've tested Ward's invention are astounded.
I think it's magic. It's the only words I could describe it. We don't know how it works or why it works. It's very, very good.
I think it was just amazing. The material itself behaved in a way that we hadn't seen other materials behave. And I found it quite amazing that a material in this form could produce the results that it produced.
People are saying that it tends to possibly defy the laws of relativity. It is new physics.
Maurice Ward is keeping the technical details of his invention a closely guarded secret until his patents are approved. He does say that all the ingredients can be bought at any supermarket. And while it may be years before Maurice's Mix is on the market, it could be revolutionary. John Lawrence, ABC News, London.
And that is World News Sunday. I'm Forrest Sawyer. For all of us here at ABC News, good night.
From Washington, this has been World News Sunday.
This has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source.
Sunday,